Okay, welcome back to the Cowbridge Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making a dish called a Lamb Cobbler. And this is one of those dishes that's in danger, probably along with stews and broths, of becoming forgotten or at least relegated to your nan's kitchen or cookery books. And you know, we as younger generation, we should keep these recipes alive because they're delicious. And this Lamb Cobbler is beautiful alternative to stew, and it's going to keep you warm in the winter months. Let me show you how to get this classic old dish put together. So, at the stove, we have some ingredients here. We've got 2 carrots, which we sliced and we roughly diced them a little bit earlier on. We've also got 1 brown onion, which we also sliced and we diced up a little bit earlier. So down here I have a crock pot. We're going to get the heat under that. So what you want to do, once this has been cooking for about 5 minutes, is get the lid off it. Smell all those flavours coming out of the onions and carrots. Get yourself a tablespoon, some dry thyme, okay, or you can use fresh thyme if you like. I'm just going to use dry for convenience, and get a tablespoon of thyme into that pot. 1 big old tablespoon. Beautiful. Now get that all mixed together, and you can already smell that. It smells beautiful. Pop your lid back on and cook for another 5 minutes. Okay, so while your thyme, carrots and onions are all simmering away there in that pot, what we're going to do is we're going to make up ourselves half a litre or 500 millilitres of lamb stock. We're going to use 2 lamb stock cubes and get them in a pot. So like I say, pop your 2 lamb stock cubes into a bowl, pot of some sort, and then top this up with 500 millilitres of boiling water. Okay, so get yourself a fork and then mix this stock up until your lamb stock cubes have all dissolved and you've got a nice rich lamb stock to throw in your pot. Okay, so with your lamb stock all made up, our carrots, onions and thyme are all nice and soft now, so we can get the lid off this. Lots of flavour coming out of that. And it's time to add our 400 grams of minced lamb. Some people do use diced lamb for this, and you can use diced lamb if you like. I just prefer minced lamb. Like I say, now spend about a few minutes chopping this lamb up so it's all nicely cut up. Mix it all in with the carrots and the onions. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook for about 12 to 15 minutes on a slow simmer until that lamb is no longer pink, until it's started to cook quite nicely. So as you can see, after about 12 minutes or so now, our lamb has gone nice and brown. It's starting to cook quite well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add our flour, our tomatoes, our lamb stock and our bay leaves. We're going to let this bad boy cook for about 30 minutes. So get your flour first of all, sprinkle this all over the top. Mix that in well so that it forms a thickish paste. And get your tomatoes in. And then lastly, add your lamb stock that we made up earlier. Okay, so there we go. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw 2 bay leaves in here, and we're going to leave this to simmer for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes or so, and that's going to let the sauce all thicken up into a stew consistency and let all of those flavours infuse nicely. Okay, so 2 bay leaves, and we're going to season it with a bit of salt and pepper, leave it to cook. So while that cobbler filling is simmering away on the stove, like I say, it's going to take about 25 minutes or so. We're going to make the topping for it. Okay, and for this, we're going to use some suet pastry. There's no hard and fast sort of recipe for this. Some people use scones on top of it. I'm going to use suet pastry, so pretty much like dumplings. Okay, so for this suet pastry, you're going to need some self-raising flour, some suet, pinch of salt, and some water. Let's get your flour into a bowl, give that a bit of a shake. You just want a pinch of salt here, so just a little shake of salt. Mix your suet, 100 grams of suet, straight into the flour. Mix that together with a fork. We want about 150 millilitres now of cold water into that mix and get that all combined. So what we're going to need to do at this point is we're going to turn this suet dough out onto a floured surface, okay? So we get that onto a nicely floured surface and we'll knead it down for a few minutes. So what we're going to need to do now, we've got our suet dough made up. You're going to need to get yourself a rolling pin, okay, lightly floured. I'm going to roll this suet dough out so that it's about 1 centimetre to 2 centimetres thick, so we can get roughly 16 shapes from this fluted cutter here. Okay, let's get rolling. And like I say, don't go mad. You just want it rolled out. To about that. Get your fluted cutter and cut out as many shapes as you can. Okay, so our lamb cobbler mix has been simmering away now for about half an hour or so. It's nice and hot, okay? We've got all of our suet pastry tops made up here, and we've got ourselves an oven dish which is about 2 inches deep. This is what we're going to cook it in. Get your oven on 180 to get that preheated while we put this filling into this oven dish, and then we can top it up, put it in the oven. Okay, so first things first, let's get our bay leaves out of there. We should have 2 bay leaves. Pop them bad boys out. Then with a ladle, we just want to fill this dish about 3/4 full with our filling. So there we go. We now have our oven dish 3/4 full with our lamb cobbler filling. Next thing to do is to put our suet pastry tops on it, and then we can bake that in the oven. And traditionally, they would leave a hole in the middle of this, so we'll do it traditionally, and we'll just place these all around the outside and see how we go. There we are, so don't be too fussy about these, just get them on there. 1, 2. Like I say, all the way around the outside. Don't leave too much of a gap between them because we kind of want them all to join up. few more in the corners. Beautiful. And that is ready to go in the oven. What you could do is you could egg wash the top of these suet tops, if you like, just to get a nice crispy brown colour to them, and then stick them in the oven for about 20 minutes or so. So our lamb cobbler has been in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes now. Just had a quick sneak peek and it's pretty much done. So I'm going to get it out, get it on a board, let it cool down before we eat it.